This is Russ. Yeah, I'm back in the car again. What time is it? 2:06 p.m. Why is it so late, Russ? Well, it wasn't late originally. What's the weather like? 84 degrees outside. Yeah, I'm coming back out of Costco, Mount Prospect Costco this time. Yeah, I came here for lunch this time. Yeah, I ran into a guy. I always run into people. Yeah, well, this guy was kind of special. Yeah, he was an older Chinese gentleman. How do you, Francis, if you're watching? His name is Francis, okay. Make my turn here. Yeah, we had a long talk, man. How long did we talk? We talked maybe an hour and 30 minutes, hour and 45 minutes. Well, hopefully he made it to his doctor's appointment, because he told me he was eating a hot dog. He was on his way to go to a doctor's appointment later. So why was this an interesting talk for so long? Well, hey, sometimes you just keep talking. So here's the funny thing about our talk. So when I got there, there was a lot of people. I was lucky enough to get a table, but all the other tables were all taken up, as they usually are. Yeah, they were all taken up. I was sitting down there by myself, okay? So Francis is looking around. I didn't realize he was looking around because he walked past me, and he must have walked towards the tables in the back. And then he came back around and he noticed that I was sitting by myself, so he asked if he could sit at my table. Aha! Usually I invite people to sit at the table, or I asked somebody to sit at the table, right? Well, I was just minding my own business. He came up and says, "Would you mind if I could sit here?" And I said, "Sure, no problem." So he sat at my table. Make this turn here. So my first impression of him is I thought he was a Korean guy. He's not Korean, he's Chinese. Should have known. I'm Chinese, okay. So as we were talking, kind of get to know each other a little bit there, and then also finding out a little bit more about him, and he's finding out about me. And so, turns out that, he had a doctor's appointment to go to later on. He says, I got a doctor's appointment to go to, and I'm eating a hot dog. Hey, I eat a pizza every day. I told him that. Yeah, we got our own little things that we do, but he was a little apologetic for eating a hot dog before going to a doctor's appointment. Anyway, so as we were talking, I was telling him about what I do, and he was telling me about what he did, and then it turns out that he's an interesting guy. Yeah, he was telling me about church and things, because he goes to a Catholic church. I go to a Protestant church, and but still we had a good conversation about churches. I told him a little bit about our church, and we talked about things like traditional hymns. Of course, in the Catholic churches they're more traditional, of course. He's used to hearing organs and things like that. And I said, well, our church is more contemporary. And I told him that I played music for church and the like. So we had a nice long discussion about church. And so then we were finding out a little bit more about each other. But yeah, I think he was one of the first guys who actually asked to sit at my table. Usually, like I said, I usually ask people to sit down with me, or I usually ask them if I could sit with them, because, you go to Costco, sometimes you can't find a table, right? And you either, let's put it this way, you either have to come up to somebody and ask them if you can sit there, or you're going to stand. I don't like to stand and eat. I told you guys this before. Yeah. So I immediately said, yes, you can sit here. But I thought he was a Korean guy. He wasn't. He was a Chinese guy. Speaks Cantonese. Yeah. Hey, I understand a little bit of Cantonese. Yeah, I asked him if he understood Toisan, and he did not. But he also knew that in Chinatown, a lot of the people there are speaking Toisan, right? So, which is a very similar dialect to Cantonese, but he came from Hong Kong. And back in the 80s, I think he said he came to the United States. So he's been here a long time, but again, obviously he still has an accent, you know. And then we were talking about that, and I says, well, you know, you can pretty much tell that I was born here because, you know, I don't have an, well, some people would say you have an accent, you have a Midwest accent. But you know what I mean, you know, I have more of an Americanized accent than not. I was born and raised in the Chicago area, so anyway, yeah, we talked about China and Hong Kong, and you know how people out there, they have to know 3 languages. If you work in Hong Kong, you got to know Cantonese, you got to know Mandarin, and you got to know English, you know, to function in the business world in Hong Kong. You're kind of expected to know all 3. I said, man, that's tough. I told him I took German as a secondary language when I was in 8th grade. He told me he took German. That's, I mean, to me, it's just weird that you'd run into another Chinese guy who took German too. So, anyway, it's just the way things are. Sometimes you run into people and, you know, you have more in common than you might think. Mm-hmm. Yeah, we talk about a lot of philosophical type of things too, you know. So anyway, I just wanted to say hi to him because I told him, I says, you better watch more from Russ next week. I'm recording this. This is a Friday. I don't know when this will come out. This might come out, I don't know, Tuesday, Wednesday, something like that. So I said, sometime next week, I'll be talking about you. There you go. Told you I'd talk about you. So what else has been going on besides Francis and meeting him at Costco and talking a long time? We talked a long time. We did. He told me he wasn't expecting to talk to somebody that long, but yeah, I wasn't expecting to either, but I had nothing to do. I'm retired. He had a doctor's appointment to go to at 3. What time is it now? 2:14. So he's got to head off to his doctor's appointment. But anyway, let me make a quick announcement for those who are into e-bikes. Many of you guys are. Many of you guys are Russ's Right viewers as well. Take a look at the russisright.com website, okay, which will redirect you to russisright.blogspot.com. I still have a number of e-bikes available. I think there's like 3 or 4 of them still there. I priced the ones that are there as of today, because I might add more in the future. Priced the ones that are there at $1,200 each. Yeah, $1,200 each. Okay, now some of them, the retail price is higher. Some of them, the retail price is lower. But either way, at $1,200, all 3 of those bikes have very good value, even at $1,200. Okay, take a look at the retail prices. I think one of them is like $22.99, $1,200. All right. Oh, there's one bike there that's $799. Yeah, I think that thing retailed for $17.99, something like that. Save $1,000 if you want an e-bike. You know, take a look at it, tell your friends, spread the word. Got to move them out. So the thing is if I can move those bikes out, then I would have the space that I need to keep my downstairs office space as an office rather than as a storage space for e-bikes. So yeah, help me out, spread the word. So let's move these other bikes out, the last few bikes I need to move out. And then even so, there's still a lot of bikes left, right? But I said, okay, the least expensive one I could sell, short of the $799, was $1,200. And I says, well, these other models, the retail price is higher. I'll just make them all $1,200. Let's see if anyone's interested in picking it up and getting a real good deal. Let's see what happens. Yeah, see what happens. See if anyone's interested in that. So anyways, that's all I got for you guys for today. I just wanted to make this video to say hi to Francis because I told him that I would. Tell you a little bit about some of the things that I run into when I go to Costco. Not that you don't know, because I always go to Costco and I always talk about it. Yeah, I told him I'd go in the car and I just start the camera and start talking. Because that's what I do. So, alright, anyways, if you like this video, go ahead and hit the like button. Hit the subscribe button if you haven't already done so. Maybe one day I'll run into you guys at Costco. Yeah, if you're local in the area. Talk to you guys next time.